Who are the best prospects to watch for Seattle Seahawks fans this 2024 college football season? What's going on, everybody? Good morning. We have made it to Saturday, and it's the first full college football Saturday of the season. I know we've already had some games. We had a couple games last week. We had some games earlier this week. But today is the first full day of college football. I know a lot of us are excited. I know this is mostly a Seahawks channel, but I do like to talk about the college football a little bit. Obviously, the Huskies are going to be playing later. I will be doing a watch-along stream of that. But I also look at college football through a different lens for the purposes of this channel. I like to look at it through the lens of who could be some future Seahawks. And over the last couple years, I've been using this channel as a way to suggest and promote certain college football players as being worthy of keeping an eye on as the college football season starts. So, since today's the first full day of college football, in fact, as of the upload of this video, I think Georgia and who are they playing? Clemson? I'm not 100% sure on that, but I know Georgia's going to be kicking off any minute now. So, in honor of today being the first full day of college football of the season, I wanted to go ahead and get my official initial, because this is a constantly evolving document, college football prospect watch list for the 2025 draft. So, this list, it's got 72 players on it. It's basically the 72 players that I recommend initially paying attention to as the 2024 college football season starts. So there's going to be some guys who are very good who I don't have listed here because they play a position that I don't think is very interesting to Seahawks fans, or the way they play doesn't seem to really fit what the Seahawks would likely be looking for. Like, if there's a safety out there, and maybe the safety is really good, but he's very pigeonholed and one-dimensional in his play, that's somebody who I would be kind of dismissive of because I don't think that fits McDonald's defense. So we narrowed things down a little bit, and any player is eligible to be re-added at some point. But realistically, I think this is a pretty reasonable starting point. You got to rule out a few guys, right? Okay. So we're going to go ahead and go through the watch list here. We're going to kind of go rapid fire. We're going to go through quick, just get it done. Basically just read off names and some school information. So we're going to go position by position, and then at the end we'll go according to school. And if anybody out there has any recommendations or suggestions about who maybe I could add, then feel free to sound off in the comments. Most of this information was taken from the NFL Mock Draft database, especially as it regards the rankings of the players in terms of what round they're estimated to be valued in. So keep that in mind, and keep in mind that their rankings change literally every day. So before we get into the list here, I hope you like this video. If you do, please click the thumbs up button down below. Helps the channel out. Subscribe if you're new and you want daily Seahawks content as well as this college football stuff. Click the bell for notifications. Become a channel member for $2 a month. Those are the best ways to support the channel. Okay, so the initial draft prospect watch list, we're going to start with quarterback here. We got Carson Beck, Shadur Sanders, both those guys top 10 right now. Hunter Wegman, Quinn Ewers, both first rounders. Jalen Milroe, Drew Allar, Cameron Ward are all the second rounders. We got Jackson Dart in the third round. And then we have Donovan Smith, Riley Leonard, and Garrett Nussmeier in the fourth round. So that's, I believe, 11 quarterbacks. So pretty good list. A wide receiver. Wide receiver is a little bit frustrating for me this year because a lot of these guys strike me as like slot receivers. That's not what the Seahawks are likely to need if they need anything, because they're definitely going to have JSN next year. The question we're having is, what about Tyler Lockett? What about even a guy like DK Metcalf could potentially be on the trade block, I guess. So in light of that, I'd rather have guys that can play on the outside, but regardless, I think a lot of these guys could possibly work in the right context playing outside as long as you're willing to be creative with them. So I'm just going to go ahead and list them out. Luther Burden, top 5. McMillan is top 10. Ibuka in the top 20. Those are your first rounders. Got Evan Stewart, Isaiah Bond, Torrey Holton, Antoine Wells Jr., Alec Io Minor, and Dion Burks are your second rounders. And then we got some third rounders down here. Trey Harris, Nick Anderson, Tez Johnson, and Samuel Brown. Those are your third rounders. So pretty good receiver crop, as it usually is these days. It feels like every receiver group is good in the draft. Tight end, not necessarily a position the Seahawks are likely to be needing on, but all would need to happen is a Noah Fant release, and then boom, suddenly you really need a tight end. Colston Loveland is your top 20 guy and your only first round guy. Oscar Delp, Luke Lakey are your second rounders. Mitchell Evans and Tyler Warren are your third rounders. That's really about it for the tight end crop this year. I said it in a previous video. It's not a great group of tight ends this year. All right, right tackle, and again, this is a projection. I don't know who's actually going to end up playing right tackle in the NFL. Players move around all the time. Players get swapped in and out until they find their home. But based on the information we have right now, I have Emory Jones Jr. in the top 20, and he's the only guy in the first 2 rounds, actually. Got Wyatt Millum in the 3rd round with Blake Miller, also 3rd round. Ajani Cornelius, 3rd round, and Josh Simmons, 3rd round. So it's not bad. Right? Right tackles usually don't go super high in the draft anyway because they're not as valuable as the left tackles. So the fact that we've got 4 potential third rounders is good. One guy who's going to probably go in the top 20 is also really good. He may go so high that he gets forced over to the left side, but for now, we'll list him as a right tackle. And then going over to left guard, it's a little bit sparse here, but we do have a few guys, and honestly, I think being sparse at the left guard spot is just kind of business as usual these days for the left guard position in the draft. Tyler Booker, Donovan Jackson, and Tate Ratledge in the 2nd round. And then I have Ernest Green in the 3rd round here. Granted, that does mean there are 2 Georgia guys, and I think Ratledge is going to be playing right guard this year. But you look at his skill set, I think he's going to be able to do left guard stuff. So I threw him in as well because I don't have right guard listed here because I don't see it as a need right now after Bradford and Haynes in back-to-back drafts. And then we have center. There's really only one really good center in this draft. It's Parker Brailsford from Bama in the 2nd round. And then I had 3 5th-round guys, Jared Wilson, Zach Rice, and Bryce Foster. So not a really good center crop, one of the weaker ones in recent memory. So if you're not Parker Brailsford right now, you're not really much of anything. Okay, now we're swinging over the defense here. Got some nose tackles. Near as I could tell, there were 4 legitimate nose tackles in the top 100. Tyleik Williams, 1st-round guy. Dante Corleone, 2nd-round guy. And then you've got 2 third-rounders in Nazir Stackhouse and Bear Alexander. So, honestly, given the fact that nose tackle is kind of a dying position these days, this is not bad. Having 4 guys in the top 100, incredible. Granted, a guy like Tyleik Williams might end up playing 3-tech in the NFL, but I think he has nose tackle credentials and he could pull it off. You do have a guy like the Kentucky guy, Walker, who could end up as a nose tackle as well, but he's going to be such a high draft pick. I think there's going to be pressure to have him play 3-tech or something like that, and right now he plays like a 3-tech anyway, so I didn't include him here, but he is certainly interesting in his own way. Edge rusher, as always, lots of edge rushers. Got a nice long list of edge rushers here. James Pierce Jr. in the top 5, Abdul Carter in the top 15, Nick Scourton in the top 20, and then you've got JT of Ohio State in the 1st round along with Patrick Payton. So those are your top 5 guys. Those are your 1st rounders. Then you've got Landon Jackson, Jack Sawyer, Princely Umanmilian, Donnie Dennis Sutton, and Ashton Gilote in the 2nd round. And then you've got Dasan McCullough and David Bailey in the 3rd round. So really good edge room for sure. Linebacker, off-ball linebacker, we got Harold Perkins. He's the only 1st-rounder, only guy in the top 20. Barrett Carter and Danny Stutzman are 2nd-rounders. Jalon Walker, Smael Mondon Jr., Jamon Dumas Johnson, and Lander Barton in the 3rd round. And yes, in case you're wondering, Lander Barton is actually the younger brother of Cody Barton. So, a little bit of a connection there, I guess. Maybe not one that we want, but decent linebacker crop. Some of these guys have the chance to rise, like these Georgia guys. They could rock it up. They're playing on Georgia. They're going to get a lot of attention this year if they do decently. Okay, cornerback, I decided to focus in on only slot cornerback. I don't think we're going to make a significant investment in outside cornerback. You've got Witherspoon with at least 1 year left on that rookie deal. Woolen will be entering the last year of his rookie deal, but I don't know if he's going to demand an immediate extension or not. It depends on how he plays this year. So I think it's unlikely the Seahawks invest big time in outside corner. Slot corner is where it's at depending on what happens with some of the players on this team, like Trey Brown, whether or not we see Julian Love as a consistent slot corner rather than a safety. Kobe Bryant. I don't know exactly what we're going to do at slot. But if we decide to go that way and allow Witherspoon to play outside full time, top guy's probably Jabbar Muhammad in the second round and Jahdae Barron in the third round. He's more of a utility player. He plays all over the place for Texas, but slot cornerback is going to be one of his best positions. And that's really it. Pretty thin right now for slot corner for my purposes. And then safety, which is the final position we're going to look at here. I got Malachi Starks from Georgia in the top 15. He's your only first rounder. Got Kevin Winston Jr. in the second round, along with Sebastian Castro of Iowa. And then the third round, we got a couple guys. Andrew Mukuba, who transferred from Clemson last year to Texas, and Xavier Watts, also a third rounder. So by my count, that was 72 players. This is just an initial list. As the year goes on, we might expand out to about 100, if I had to guess. Some guys might drop off, though, because they get hurt or because they're not doing anything. Depends. Gonna definitely try to keep an open mind with all of this. And, we want to bring in as many players as we can. So now that we've gone through the list, I want to real quick take a look at the breakdown by school, which gives an idea of if you're a Seahawks fan who wants to watch college football just for draft stuff, this gives you an idea of who to be watching. So if you're sorting by school, then there's a far and away clubhouse leader in terms of most interesting team to watch in 2024. That's Georgia. They have 9 players listed here. They have 9, which is far more than any school had last year on my list, and it's far more than any other school on the list this year. They've got Beck, Delp, Ratledge, Green, Wilson, Stackhouse, Walker, Mondon Jr., and Starks. They have players at every layer. They have just about everything. The only thing really that they didn't have was a stud receiver and I guess a stud edge, right? But they more than make up for it elsewhere. Second place, a distant second, admittedly, was Ohio State. They've got a lot of stuff going on that offensive line with Simmons and Jackson. They've got some guys in that front seven, and of course, Egbuka. So 6 players there. They're second place. And then third place, and this is kind of your big 3. I think these are the big 3 schools to watch, would be Penn State with 5 players, including Drew Allar. They've got a tight end. They've got 2 good edges, and then they've got a safety. So that's kind of the powerhouses this year. Georgia, Ohio State, Penn State. So after that, you get a little bit of a drop-off, but there are still these 4 schools that have 4 players each: Oklahoma, Ole Miss, Oregon, and Texas. Then we get down to 3. We've got Alabama, LSU, Notre Dame, Texas A&M. By the way, how weird is it that Alabama doesn't have a single defensive player on my list? How weird is that? That's not supposed to happen. They do have some good defensive players, but I didn't think any of them made sense for the Seahawks specifically, so I didn't include them. So don't take that to mean that Alabama's defense is going to be atrocious this year or anything, but not a lot of interest on my side. We have a few schools here with 2 prospects: Clemson, Iowa, Miami, and Stanford, and then a bunch of them that had just 1. Pretty easy to sneak on with just 1. Arizona, Arkansas, Cincinnati, Colorado, Colorado State, Florida State, Houston, Kentucky, Louisville, Michigan, Missouri, North Carolina, Tennessee, USC, Utah, and West Virginia. So that's the way I see things breaking down right now. Let me know what you guys think down below. Let me know if you guys think I made any glaring omissions. The omission may have come for a couple different reasons. I may have simply forgotten, may have missed him, may have decided that I wasn't too interested in him for one reason or another. But yeah, let me know what you guys think down below. I will see you guys later today. Maybe another video later. I might just hold off until the stream tonight with the Huskies game. So either way, I will see you guys later. If you guys don't see me on YouTube, you may find me on Twitch. I'm probably getting some streaming early because I won't be able to stream late. All right, go Hawks. Bow down to Washington and have fun watching college football this year.